trauma, but where it really shows up is in our prisons. Nearly every single inmate in the United States has experienced multiple types of childhood trauma. This week, I traveled to the Valley State Prison in Chowchilla, where a Los Angeles nonprofit is doing some work to bring childhood trauma awareness and healing to the inmates in an attempt to end the cycle of violence.
Was she the one being mean or something?
Oh my god. No,
For the last 7.5 years, the inside of this prison yard has been Orange County native Jose Rael's view.
It can get scary real quick. A lot of violence, a lot of manipulation.
Turns out, it's not that different from his childhood.
My mom's boyfriends were very violent. He used to beat me up, choke me, drown me, put knives in my throat, guns in my head.
And so, by the time he was 18, he had become the abuser. Jose is currently serving time for robbery and attempted murder. Jose's cycle of trauma and abuse is something this woman, Fritzy Horstman, is trying to call attention to.
I'm a little nervous. I'm very excited.
Fritzy is the founder and executive director of the Compassion Prison Project, a Los Angeles nonprofit that since 2019 has been traveling around California prisons trying to make inmates aware of the trauma that has led them to this prison yard.
We're getting ready to film the Compassion Trauma Circle at Valley State Prison.
Fritzy's work is powerful and also controversial. She will tell you firsthand how much she loves these men who have murdered and raped. But her work is rooted in science, and it's groundbreaking because she is coming to these prisons to tell these inmates face to face that the childhood traumas they experienced, officially dubbed Adverse Childhood Experiences or ACEs, are a big part of why they're here today.
Welcome to the Compassion Trauma Circle.
She starts by having the inmates make a big circle, and then, one by one, begins reading a list of CDC-recognized adverse childhood experiences.
And if it's true for you, just take a step inside the circle. If a parent or other adult in the household often or very often would swear at you, insult you, put you down, or humiliate you, take a step inside the circle.
About 60% of adults have at least one traumatic childhood experience. Among inmates, it's 97%, according to the CDC.
If you often or very often felt that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, and had no one to protect you, step inside the circle.
Incarcerated people have an average of at least 5 traumatic childhood experiences.
If your parents were ever divorced or separated, step inside the circle.
And often, as inmates start to see how common their childhood trauma is,
step inside the circle.
They start to share.
When I was about 12 years old, my mom, I think she was smoking dope with the homies or something like that, and she left me with my brothers and my sister. My sister was only like 3 or something. My little brother was very young. My 2 brothers, and we had no food or nothing, no electricity in the house.
Step inside the circle.
Jose scores 9 out of 10 ACEs. He has lived through nearly all of the most traumatic things a child can experience.
I'm so sorry to see that you were all abused.
California Surgeon General Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris says this kind of childhood trauma is an epidemic.
Is a public health crisis. And it affects everything from our learning to our health, to our behavior, to our mental health.
But help is on the way. Her goal is to cut adverse childhood experiences by half in a generation.
ACEs are not destiny. We have the power to change outcomes. Since January of 2020, we have trained more than 20,000 healthcare providers on how to screen for ACEs and then how to treat with evidence-based interventions.
She says reducing childhood trauma will also reduce California's prison population, which means there will be less victims. Until then, these men will have to face the reality of what they've done. But at least now, they have the context, Fritzy says.
It's not that what they did was okay. Absolutely not. But it's that we have to understand the mitigating circumstances. they're highly traumatized.
Jose, who has 3.5 years left on his sentence, is coming to terms with his trauma and that which he inflicted.
Back then, I didn't understand the whole trauma domino effect of things, but now I do. And like, if I could, I would meet those people one-on-one, face-to-face, and apologize to them with my whole heart and like really let them know that I'm sorry.
He sometimes fantasizes about what his life might have been like if he hadn't experienced so much trauma. In prison, he has learned he loves to draw and has a secret talent for masonry.
I'm just learning how to use that and feel those dark parts of my life to make me a better person and just move on.
Moving on, leaving prison and his trauma behind. If you would like to learn more about adverse childhood experiences, take a quiz to see where you rank, or if you would like to volunteer inside the prisons, you can visit CompassionPrisonProject.org.
Wait, but why is she a criminal?